guess not. We'll call the meeting to order. Let's do a pledge. Pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to do first, we have a gentleman here, Javier, is going to do a presentation for us on energy, good energy.
Yes, that's our company.
Come up and sit down.
I can sit down here?
Yeah.
Yep.
All right. Guys, I can stand, I can sit down.
We're going to let you sit even though you didn't bring packets.
I did email them. I'm environmentally friendly there. We don't have to, no, but yeah, I think I've been here before, done this presentation to some of you here. I think we've met in the past, yes. And obviously Jody's always been around, listening to my presentation. But thank you for having me, Mayor. Obviously, we met at NICOM, New York Conference of Mayors, and I'm going to be talking about a program called Community Choice Aggregation. A little bit about our company. Good Energy is a New York-based company. Our headquarters are in New York City. But we have offices throughout the country: Dallas, Illinois, Boston, New Jersey. So we do this nationally. We have over, well over 250 CCAs throughout the country. We have CCAs, Community Choice Aggregation Programs, here in New York, as well as other municipal aggregation programs that we do. So one of the things that Good Energy has done is that we're excited to collaborate with two organizations, the New York Conference of Mayors, which is you attended, as well as the Association of Towns, and that represents collectively about 1,500 municipalities. And so what we do is we run the municipal aggregation program, which is what you guys understand is aggregating your municipal facilities, right? So I think a lot of municipalities have chosen ESCOs or energy services companies to serve that load, whether it's natural gas, electricity. That's something you guys are familiar with. What CCA is, it also brings in the municipality, but it's very different in the sense that you now have the ability to buy on behalf of your residents, of your citizens in your towns and your villages, right? And towns, villages, and cities are the only ones that have the jurisdiction to do it. And New York State has become the 7th state in the country to actually allow this form of buying. This is brand new. It's happened about 2 years ago. They passed a statewide order allowing this. The first pilot program was done in Westchester County. We were the lead advisor, one of the lead advisors for that program. After that pilot was launched, then the governor allowed for the rest of the counties and the rest of the cities and the villages to go and do their own community choice aggregation. So what that means is essentially you now can pass a resolution, pass a local law, hold a public hearing, vote among yourselves as municipal public officials, and on behalf of your residents, do an analysis, do a feasibility study to figure out if it's worth it for your residents. So here you have NYSEG, correct? Mm-hmm. So what essentially the program does is allows you to create economies of scale with your residents, right? So one resident, if they were to go out and buy power, natural gas from an ESCO, a competitive supplier, that's only one house, very small property, doesn't really have the buying power. But when you collectively aggregate everybody in your community, that's where you have, the power to purchase, or the ability, the leverage to purchase much more competitive supply rates, right? And that's really what it is. It's the Costco theory. It's the bulk buying theory. It's instead of going out as an individual, you're going out as a collective group. And so that makes it a much more powerful buying format, right? And so New York State has allowed that. The other thing that it does, it also helps municipalities and cities police what kind of activities are going on in your town, or even that you don't realize. Communication companies trying to sell power and natural gas to residents, and overseas companies just dialing folks in the evening trying to sell their accounts. You don't know what those companies are. They're using third-party outbound callers. So it really also protects the individual. So there's a sort of policing here. There's an agency here that's watching over what the consumer is buying. So essentially, everybody knows that NYSEG is your default provider. So what this does is, through the municipal program, it simply offers a second default product for a resident. So if a resident came in and moved into Walton, they would simply say, hey, I just need power. I got to call the utility. I got to get the power. They're not negotiating rates at that moment. They just want to make sure that there's energy flowing through the meter to provide power and make sure that the lights are on at their homes, right? So nobody's thinking about, oh, should I get a different provider? So in this case, what you're doing is you're just offering the same thing, a second default rate, as if it was with NYSEG, with the same rights and obligations that you would give the resident as if they were with NYSEG. The beauty of the program, the way this works, is that you also have the same billing mechanism. So NYSEG is completely for this because they're on the delivery side of the bill. We are providing a better price on the supply side. So you have two components. You have the delivery and you have supply. So NYSEG just delivers the power, whether it's less expensive or more expensive, they just deliver it, right? So that the bill still comes from NYSEG. So you don't have to worry about getting a second bill, having a secondary truck come in and mess with the wires or anything. It's the same utility company. So you don't have to worry about that. And that's the beauty of it. They support it. There's no conflict of interest because the utility does not make money on the commodity. It's just a simple tariff rate that they pass through. So they're in full support, and they work with us to gather the data for the residents. They work with us and so we have folks, CCAs through NYSEG. We have CCAs through Orange and Rockland, through Central Hudson, through National Grid. So all the utilities support this program, essentially. The other thing is, if there's any brownouts or blackouts or any emergencies, you still call the same utility, still call NYSEG, and they come and they deliver their people at the last mile to your home. So if you have any tree limbs that are coming across any lines or anything, that's not going to be us. That's still going to be your utility company that's going to service you.
What kind of savings are we looking at? Just ballpark.
Well, we've gotten, I'm going to give you some savings from the different utilities that we've actually put forth. So like in Westchester County, it was about an 8% savings. In NYSEG, it was about 12% savings. In National Grid, not National Grid, in Central Hudson, it was about 13%. In O&R, it was the biggest savings, which is about 17% savings. So those are your running rates. But at the end,
savings from what?
From
what O&R was providing with the O&R arm, the mandated O&R arm.
Right. So it was 17% compared to the 12 to 24 month average of what O&R charges for supply, which is just basically a pass-through.
Right.
The way the tariffs are set up in New York, which is very different than other states, is that it's based on two indices. It's the real-time market as well as the day-ahead market, and they basically just peg the tariff rates to that. And that's why it fluctuates every month. So when you get your bill, it changes.
Tariff rates aren't going to change.
The tariff rates or the index rates change monthly.
No. I mean, whether the village participates in the program or not, the NYSEG tariff rate does not change based on that.
Correct.
This is the supplemental service that is currently in place.
Correct.
Everywhere in the state.
Correct.
And NYSEG has their own arm that does it.
Yes.
And there are 15, 20, 30, 40 other organizations that already do it as well. Everyone in the state of New York has to. Well, supply is mandated tariff. There's nothing anybody can do about that, and nothing we're going to do about that.
Correct.
Our delivery is what we're talking about.
Oh, I'm sorry. Supply to because it's a mandate. It's a tariff rate.
But nothing that happens here, nothing you're proposing is going to change the delivery.
The delivery
tariff is boom.
Correct.
And so I just want to make sure we're right now. Every person sitting in this room who pays a utility bill has a source provider as well. NYSEG has their own source provider, which is the default if no one goes out, but the ones who say that they're selling you solar power and,
Correct.
and American power and Indian power and 100 other, they're already there, and individuals can opt out for that.
Correct.
So it's not, we're not changing the system. All you're doing is consolidating the system.
The only thing you're changing is you're getting a better price on your supply rate, not
For
the
volume.
delivery rate,
Yeah.
through this aggregation.
Okay.
So simple enough.
Would someone who has already opted out of the NYSEG, the NYSEG supply,
Right.
would they be mandated to participate?
No, they would be excluded from this, so we would sift them out. So the data that we would receive would be only those that are taking from the default service.
Which is NYSEG right now.
Correct. Anybody who's on a third-party provider or an ESCO, which is what it's called in New York State, they continue to take that. And the reason for that is because people might have different contract terms.
Right. That's
Right?
what-
They could be on for 2 years, 3 years. There could be penalties
Right.
associated with that. One of the key factors to this program, and when I said you guys have the same rights that you would if you want a utility, the program, the CCA program, doesn't have any contracts for the individual. In other words, they can
So they can
come
opt
into
out
the-
anytime they want
They can
to.
opt out whenever they want. They come in when they want. There's no penalties. There's no early termination penalty, nothing. So that flexibility was very important for New York State to run this program the way it does. It mirrors similar as a utility, right? So that's a really fundamental factor that is very different than what a lot of ESCOs are offering in the market, where they sign you up, let's say for a year, and if you break a contract like a cell phone service, they're going to ding you for $150, $200, whatever it is.
No,
Yeah,
this only
question.
covers electricity, right?
Both natural gas and electricity.
Both natural gas and
Mhm.
electricity, okay.
Yes, it does.
So when you're talking a percentage, it's both of those?
Okay, so that's a good question, because I did not express that it was electricity that we were talking about. So natural gas, there has not been any natural gas CCAs. We are launching one here in the short order, and then I'll have more facts and figures, but right now I don't have the exact savings numbers. At the end of the day, putting this law on the books, this local law, doesn't force you to do anything. You're not mandated to move forward. All it does, at no cost, is give you the ability to collect data and for me to go and analyze whether it's worth it to move forward with a program. So at the end of the day, even if it's worth something, even if it's, and you say, I don't really want to move forward for whatever fundamental reasons, you don't have to move forward to it. At least you have the analysis, you have the study that you can take and say, okay, this is what we can save. Or this is what we don't save. So we're going to have to wait a year. We're going to have to wait a few months to see if there are savings down the road.
How much is the analysis and who pays for it?
No, the analysis is at no cost. We covered that cost. In fact, the municipality, except for small legal fees and some office costs and labor and support, it really is at no cost to the municipality. We pay for everything. Even when the program is launched, we pay for the outreach. There's a mandatory 60-day outreach that we do. We do that for you, and we pay for all the costs, whether it's advertisement, whether it's public meetings, whether it's radio spot ads. All that is covered by our company, Good Energy. Any other questions?
I guess not.
Yeah, so really, so I'm going to go into some of the process. So I think that you all have the local law template that we've provided. We also have the resolution. And then you do have to hold a public hearing. Obviously, the municipal rules, and so you do have to do it. It's, I don't know how, I guess you just need one reading or something like that to move forward with the local law.
Yep.
And then once that's done, we send that over to the DPS staff, the Public Service Commission, for fast track. Now, I'll explain a little something as far as how this is enabled. We actually are approved by the Public Service Commission as a CCA administrator. So you can only have a CCA administrator run this properly, and we have that designation. It's very unique in New York State. It's brand new. The other thing is you would fall under our approved implementation plan. So you have to have an implementation plan, you have to have a data protection plan, and an outreach plan. The great thing about New York is that you basically fall under our umbrella if you want to move forward. So you don't have to create one. In other states, like in the Midwest, you actually have to have a plan of operation and governance for each and every city, village, and county. Here, you just fall under the umbrella. So it's fast track fast track nicely through the DPS staff, and it usually takes, once you have all your forms in, usually takes about a week. DPS very efficient. So that's good news. You don't have to do a lot of paperwork on that. Reduces cost and helps with some of the analysis work becoming very efficient.
We're used to New York State controlling everything we do.
Well, in this case, it's pretty seamless, pretty fluid, the process, and it's very nice. In fact, in other states, they actually have to hold, in the primary and general election, they have to hold a referendum. So you have to pass a referendum and all that. Where here, they didn't go that route, which is nice. So it becomes very efficient, and you can roll this program out pretty quickly if you'd like. So really, I mean, what I would suggest, obviously, is put the local law in the books. Let's get the data, let's collect it, both for natural gas, electricity. I come back here again with the analysis, and you'll see the facts and figures to see if it's even worth it. And that's all it takes.
And then, so like, when we pass a local law, like you outlined, that basically gives you the green light to have access to consumer data? Is that?
Okay, yeah. So I'll elaborate a little bit more on that. So there's two sets of data that we get. So to answer your question, yes. Once you have the local law in the books, and I have all the paperwork, resolution, local law, or administrative agreement signed, I present that to the DPS staff. With that, I go to, after they approve it, DPS staff approves that, and you have to send the local law to the Secretary of State and all that formality. But once I send all the paperwork DPS and they approve it, I then take their approval letter, send it over to the utility, and the utility then releases the first set of data. The first set of data is summary data, anonymized data. There is no names, numbers. The only thing that's provided in that summary data is load information, electrical load or natural gas load information. That's it. But there's no credit cards, there's no Social Security, there's no addresses yet. So you could actually have this analysis, and none of the names of your citizens are disclosed at all. So it could be very, once it makes sense, and then you guys say, okay, there's some savings here, we want to move forward, we obviously are going to need customer detail data. That's a second set of data, which comes to us, and that has addresses and account numbers and usage, but simply because everybody needs to get a notice. They need to know where the addresses are to switch accounts, so that's obviously needed to move forward. And really more for the communication aspect of things. We have to commute. We're going to be sending postcards to people. We have to send opt-out letters to people, so that they have the ability to opt out or get themselves out of the program whenever they need to. Again, this is an opt-out program, so it's the opposite of an opt-in. An opt-in is like as if you had, let's say you had a magazine, you had a subscription card, you sign that in, send it in for the magazine, that's an opt-in format. This is opposite. This is an opt-out where you're automatically in, but you get to opt out whenever you like. And the reason for that is because if it was reversed, you wouldn't have the numbers, you wouldn't have the economies of scale, because you would only have very small percentages. You need large percentages to get that competitive rate. But again, it's a second default rate. People can leave it whenever they want. They don't have to stay on this at all. So there's a lot of flexibility to and then the bottom line is they're going to get a better rate, right? So if they want to leave it, why would you want to leave a program that's saving you money, right?
Why do you have to work with the municipality as opposed to, say, NYSEG?
Why would we work with the municipality instead of NYSEG? NYSEG does not have the jurisdictional authority to approve this type of law, right? So it's using general municipal law to create the process to pull the data, because they're your citizens, they're your residents in your community. So NYSEG does have the contacts, they definitely do,
right,
but they don't have the authority to release that information. So New York State has created this process so that you all have the authority, including myself, to pull that data. But it's a good question. And
It just seems like it would be so much more simple if you were working with the power company and
Well, essentially you are. I mean, it's just going through the due diligence process. You don't want to just, right now there's a tremendous concern about data security. We do have a data security plan in place that had to be approved by the Public Service Commission. Without that, the state and the commission would not have been comfortable pulling data just easily from the utilities, right? Because somebody could take that and they can spam them, they can market other things. The Public Service Commission, their statewide order, is careful to what we do with that data. Once that data is here, I cannot send a letter upselling any other type of product. It has to be approved by you guys. It has to be maybe a community solar program. It has to be something with regard to efficiency, something having to do with energy conservation. That's the kind of program you can launch with these things, but they're very careful with protecting the data. It's very, very key for them. I think I covered a lot. Any other questions?
No, not at the moment.
All right. Okay. The mayor recused himself?
He ran off. I don't know where he went.
I think you've heard it all before.
Yes. And I believe that our agreements have already been provided, and I think, were you the attorney who looked at it? So I've discussed it with you. Just wanted to make sure. So I think you put your changes to it, so I think they were agreed.
Yep.
All that. Yep. So, okay. Well, thank you very much, guys. I appreciate it.
Thanks for the presentation.
Absolutely.
Thanks for the
Thank you.
presentation.
Good seeing you again.
Do you have
Yes, I
a
do.
copy of a business
Sure,
card?
yeah. Mhm.
So is this similar in nature to
So you're
our
in
franchise
charge.
agreement?
I
The
guess.
reason
Where'd you
we're
go?
going through
I don't know.
LASIK is because you're actually going to
Got
be
it from
taking
what?
some of their customers from them
Maybe it wasn't.
We're not
Okay.
going to take
everyone.
any customers from
for the supply.
So, the next thing on the agenda is what? Public input.
The only
But you will.
on the delivery.
Anybody got something you want to bring up?
It's stated in our agreement.
Okay,
Keith?
thank you.
Chamber sent you a letter
Sorry.
requesting a space up at Marlette's Old Body Shop up on St. John Street. Response?
I haven't.
Did we get a letter? I have not seen
I
a
know
letter.
it was discussed. I don't know if we got a letter.
this is the letter.
Okay.
Now you have
There's the letter. Now we have the letter.
Do you have an extra copy of that?
No.
Well, we're looking at the last meeting, I think I mentioned it somewhat. We're looking for a space where we could put a 8 by 8 by 20
Just like a kindness container.
container to store Christmas decorations, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. It's, our little building up at the town hall is crammed full, and we just need a little more space, and where it'd be out of the way, and
Where exactly is the location on there?
Marlette's old garage up on St. John's. Well, the village has it now. It's the village building up on St. John Street, up
So
on the hill.
about halfway up St. John Street, as you're going up the hill, it's on the left. We store equipment, some other stuff there.
Gotcha.
When I spoke to Steve, he was talking about putting it in a corner, maybe
Yeah,
in the
over
back.
corner, yeah.
I don't know what he has done talking to Public Works. Did he speak
Yeah,
to
we
you
told
about
them
that?
there's room, they just had to check into insurance stuff next, I think, but.
As long as you have a policy.
Their own insurance.
We'd have to have a separate policy on it.
Well, they should get a policy naming the
Yeah,
village.
that's in the letter saying that we would cover costs for ensuring the structure, maintaining the structure, setting up the area for the structure.
Just having the village be a named insured on there.
Okay, so we just need a copy of the insurance if we were to do it. So as far as you know,
Yeah, we should
you've
be able
looked
to.
over, there is enough.
The only thing you might want to do is have an agreement,
Yeah.
that, like a memorandum of understanding or something like that they would have to remove it anytime, so they don't, after 10 years, think they have an ownership interest in it or something like that,
Okay.
So we have a memorandum of understanding between the village, that there's going to be, that you're there with their permission. It can be withdrawn on 30 days notice or 60 days notice or something like that, so that it doesn't become the Washington Monument or something
Yeah.
that's affixed.
Okay. Could you provide us with an agreement like that? Would you do
Yeah,
it?
yeah.
Would you?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, if you get, so. you guys
Jody,
wanna
come
make a
on.
motion on that?
Take 3 seconds.
I would move that, provided we're provided with a memorandum of understanding and that it's maintained by the chamber and insured by the chamber, that we allow the chamber to place a storage container at the facility on St. John Street.
Have a second?
A second.
Okay. I have a motion and a second that we accept the proposition from the Chamber of Commerce that they put a storage container on our property on St. John Street, provided they have proof of insurance, and we get a memorandum of agreement that we can have it removed within, let's say, a 30-day period. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All those
Which,
opposed?
keep in mind, this stores a lot of the Christmas decorations
Okay.
used in the village of Walton.
Right.
So, large.
So if you get the agreement, you get to your
Yeah,
memorandum.
we don't want to store
And proof of
explosives. or
insurance.
anything like
Yeah,
that.
yeah.
And we'll file it, and,
All right.
No fireworks.
okay? Okay, anybody else?
Texted you the letter.
Yes, ma'am.
My name is Bridget Hanley. I work for the Woodlaw office, and I'm here today to represent our clients, Ian and Amanda Conkling. They are interested in purchasing 10 Fair Street. And 10 Fair Street, unfortunately, was going into tax foreclosure with the village. And they also had, the property owner also had a lot of other debts that was going to be overpowering or taking over the village taxes. She had some. She owed money to the state, and we were, yes.
We're gonna do this later. I'm sorry. Didn't feel good. I went down below, but
Okay.
yeah, we're gonna do this later,
course.
all of us.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. Perfect.
Okay, I talked to Keith, and we approved him putting the container up on St. John Street. for the
Oh,
summer
good, you brought that up.
So let's
Okay.
take- Let's take it.
All right, then did you do the public input?
That's what we were
That's what you
doing.
just did, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right, let's do the abstracts. Everybody had a chance to look at that.
You're the only one, there was anybody else?
Oh, I'm sorry, yeah. Was there anybody else with public information or public input?
Yeah.
You was there?
I'm with Bridget.
Okay.
She doesn't know.
First time meeting.
Doesn't
Snuck in
know.
behind you, huh?
All right. Yeah, sorry I left like that, but I think I might be getting, nobody probably ought to move away from it.
Yeah, it's just-
All right, then abstracts.
I make a motion to approve the abstracts as presented to us for the month. Sign
Second.
and approve.
Motion made second to approve abstracts. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Vote. Approved. All right, department heads. Butch.
Good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
I got a report.
So let me email you.
Any questions, concerns?
Pages worth.
2 pages worth, yes. There's been some stuff going on.
Still trying to tape the leaves back on?
No, I think I gave up on that. It's not
Oh,
working.
okay. Yep, it's not working. All right, so you're gonna try putting the
Must have been a
leaves back.
generic brand.
The residents are allowed to put brush and leaves out at the curb.
They can rake their leaves out to the curb, but we will not be around to pick them up until we get more off the trees, because it would be drug out way too long.
Right.
We will probably start that in a couple weeks. Don't rake them into the curb or the street, because they're plugging up all the storm drains.
What length should the brush be?
Brush should be, I believe it's 4 foot and bundled, and it should be,
Bundled.
yes,
Tied with twine.
yes, anything but wire.
And no black bags.
No black bags. None.
Thank you very much.
None. And since we're on the subject, we've had concerns with dogs up at All Lincoln Park not being on leashes.
Big
Just a
problem.
reminder, they need to be on a leash at all times within the village and clean up after the dog. So that has been another issue. Other than that, everything's great. And I have 3 guys that we have a conference in Sydney Thursday for the newer trustees, we have to do X amount of hours of training, summary, or, well, they're out for 3 years, but some requires. So I got 3 guys need to go to training Thursday to get some hours toward that water license renewal. So I'm asking for permission to send them there Thursday for that.
I move that we send them to the conference.
Second.
Motion made second to send them to the conference in Sydney. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Which is there a cost for that?
Yeah, it's-
Whatever our dues are.
It's like
Yeah.
$20
$21
a piece or something like that. Anything else for Butch?
And I think that's pretty much it. We're just gonna continue on with water leak detection. We did just have one water main break here a little bit ago. We're wrapping up, finishing flushing hydrants. Tomorrow morning they should be done. But everything else is going good.
Good deal.
My water filter thanks you.
What's that?
My water filter at home thanks you.
All right. Thanks, Butch.
Yep.
Thank you.
Jason?
Everybody get my report? Have a chance to look it over? Any questions? Plant's running great.
I'm gonna say you better knock on some wood, make sure it stays running great.
Crash called with a couple spills, but they've hit the protocol chart and everything seemed to work well there, so that's going very well.
I think the tour that they did kind of help open their eyes up a little bit.
Yes.
As to what can be done to save.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's good.
Oh,
They were actually, after the walkthrough they did there,
Things have
using the
straightened up
protocol,
quite a bit.
they're calling with spills so that they can capture it instead of going into the whole plant and upsetting it, so.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, they actually called last week with a small spill. Didn't amount to anything, but they let us know, and it was like 50 or 60 gallons of product, but they let us know so we could do something with it if we chose.
Yeah, that
So
one little notification,
it makes a world of difference, yeah. So, grinder's working great. Turnkey was on site doing calibrations. DEP was on site for an inspection. They were happy. Previously, the only thing DEP had wrote us up for was the grinders. Now we got a brand new grinder, so they're happy. So
How's the pump pulling now? I mean, yeah, we've been doing it like once or twice a week.
the influent pumps we have stopped pulling weekly and we've gone to monthly with nothing in them.
Nice.
And the RAS pumps, we're starting to see less in the RAS pumps too. I don't know if that's just coincidence or not. That's going to take some time to actually tell.
Yeah,
But,
there's so much in the system.
There's so
It's
much
gotta
in the
come out.
system, yeah. But yeah, it's been less, so that was definitely a good investment, and it's working. It's working great. So
I'll say on man hours and wear and tear on the pumps.
yes,
Big time.
Yeah,
And those are, how much a pump?
28,000.
Yeah.
8,000 to rebuild it. We just got one rebuilt. It was 8,000,
Right.
and we can't do anything to those because they're so large. So,
Yeah.
like the EQ pumps, we can pull those up out and change the impellers and stuff on those. But those big influent pumps, we have to send them out to the vendor to get them done. So it's an $8,000 bill if it's a complete rebuild. So,
Saving.
yeah, it'll definitely help for sure. So, other than that,
Does the city pick up a portion of?
that's 20%, I believe.
Yeah.
So it's something.
Yeah.
But on a $28,000 bill, 20% really isn't it's not like the other end of the plant, for sure. But
How did the city feel about the grinder?
the city wanted the grinder too, because it's wrote into our plan.
Right.
So if it's wrote into the plan, then you gotta have it, and you gotta maintain it. So, they were more on the grinder than they were the grit screw, but, the state was definitely on both. The state has not been in since we put the grinder in, so when they get there, I'm sure they'll be happy too, so.
Nice. Anything else for Jason?
So now the wipe's still an issue, or is the grinder mostly taking care of that?
The grinder's taking care of it.
Yeah.
But we're seeing where the rags and stuff are getting caught on the outside of the grinder, so we're watching to see if over time that's gonna fall off and chew it up and go through, or if we're gonna end up having to do a little more maintenance to that to keep them free. So, we're gonna be speaking with Seaward Equipment, who provided the grinder, here in the short term, and see what they recommend for a service plan on this thing. And our only way to service it and to change the blades are to remove it from the channel. So that's kinda outside of our scope of business. So we may have to have them come in to flip the cutters and put new cutters on, however they recommend it, but they're just getting into selling this type of equipment. And it's worked really well. So I imagine they're going to be selling it to a lot more municipalities. Especially, this piece was about $12,000 cheaper than the piece that we had originally spec'd to go in there, which would have been a direct replacement. So it's actually working better than what was there for a lot less money. So,
That's great.
yeah.
That's what I like to hear.
Yes, ma'am.
I'd like to figure out a way to stop them getting in the system.
If you do,
Yeah, I would say I'll make $1 million,
yeah,
but.
let me in on it if you could. So, that's all I have.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay.
He's over there.
No, I was looking for Steve Dutcher.
Oh.
He's not here, but we have his report. Chief?
Sorry I'm late. Everybody got the report?
Yes,
Rich sent you guys out. So calls are up a little bit this month compared to last year, about 20 calls, so we're staying right around the same amount. There are a couple things I need to ask for this month, though. Seems like October seems to be the training month. So everybody, except with a couple of the officers, need range training. I'm hoping to get this done, not the 17th or 18th, Thursday or Friday, depending on the range availability and coverage. I'm going to try to utilize a couple guys that have already taken it, so we can get everybody out there as one group and get it done with all in 1 or 2 days. Then there's a at the end of the month, on the 28th, 29th, and 30th of October, there's a breath test operator school in SUNY Oneonta. There are a couple, I'm looking to put Logan Wood and Oliver Tolman in that, and basically that would just switch up Oliver's nighttime to daytime. I'd have to find coverage, obviously, for it. I've already got the coverage lined up for it. It's important, especially coming up with the shifts and stuff that we're going to be working with, that everybody has that. And what that is basically, you know, when you get the DWI part of it, you're off the road and you're back at the police department. That's the final say as far as what you register as far as the alcohol in your system. It's supposed to be kept up every 2 years. It's a 1-day cert. When we catch it, these guys are out, or actually Logan hasn't had it yet, but Oliver's out a little bit, so he'll have to go for the 3-day. But it is important that we have as many people. Otherwise, we have to wait for another agency to come. And by that time, somebody who might have been DWI on the road might not necessarily be DWI anymore. So that's a training. I'm looking to put those 2 guys through.
Okay. What are you looking at cost-wise?
It's going to incur overtime. I can't cover it any other way, especially putting Logan through. Logan seems, you know, he's my one part-time guy that really I can lean on quite a bit. So being in his position, he's working as many hours as he is. He's really putting a lot of hours in. Also, that I just think it'd be a good idea for him to take the course right now. However, though, Oliver definitely should have the course. So I'm asking for both of them.
Is there a cost for the class?
Yes, what I'm
Oh,
saying.
no, I don't, no, there's no cost for the class.
Okay, so it's just whatever.
Right,
time
it's
to take up
gonna be the
shift.
time for the shift and the overtime that may or may not be incurred as a result of covering the shifts.
Can you cycle everyone to go so that everybody?
Yeah,
ends up with the training?
so going forward, as the 2 years gets close, we'll only have the 1-day recert that we'll have to go through. I also, if I can make arrangements with the other job, I may also take this, if that's okay. That would
No,
obviously.
I don't know, now you're pushing it.
Well, but, because I would also like to have that certification, so.
I think everyone should have it.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Everyone will. I mean, most everybody else already has their certification. They're certified right now.
3 days, this course will get everybody pretty much caught up, so now it'll be just a day.
Right, it'll be just a day going
Recert.
forward to recert,
Okay.
correct.
So we need a motion.
I'll make a motion.
Second?
Motion made second to send 3,
Yes.
to the DWI course. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried.
No, he went
What-
right from the range
That's what I was gonna say,
training.
range training. What do you got on that, cost-wise? Anything for that?
We're budgeted for the ammo. I believe all the ammo's been bought.
Okay.
Again, it's going to be the coverage of the shifts is what's gonna play into that, so it may incur 4 to 8 hours overtime to cover the shift. Kevin is already certified this year, so he's gonna be the person I'm gonna try to use to cover.
Fill the slots.
Annual? The
Yes, it's an,
October one
it's
is
an,
annual
yeah,
or twice a year?
no, it's an annual.
Okay.
Yeah, DCJS made an annual now, so,
Is that at Delhi?
yes, it'll be at Delhi Range.
So I'll make that
Motion,
motion.
yeah, okay. Yes, sir.
Second.
Motion made second to send the guys up to the range. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Anything else?
Yeah, since you asked, Mayor, I do actually have one more training. I think it'd be important. District Attorney Hubbard's putting on a seminar training for the new discovery for grand jury purposes and stuff, as far as the courts, the new mandates for the laws. I'm asking if Officer Babcock and I can attend that training, since we've dealt mostly with the grand juries per se. And then we would actually attend it and then bring back the information to the guys.
Cost?
There's no cost to it. Again, it would just be the coverage. I'd have to cover Officer Babcock's shift the night before so he could attend the meeting.
Do you know how much time that discovery is going to take for you?
I believe it's only a 2 or 3 hour seminar.
No. I mean, once implementing it, when you're now having to provide documentation, I assume, for almost every arrest.
Well, it's that's pretty much going to be as far as grand jury discovery purposes. That's
Okay,
going to be
just
up to
grand jury
it's
stuff.
so right. Yeah, that's for the
Indictments.
indictments and stuff. There's a lot of aspects around that.
Okay.
That I think it's important that we have some working knowledge with that, firsthand working knowledge, anyways.
We have a large crew. Maybe they can bring the seminar to us.
I believe there's going to be quite a few people.
Okay.
That's going to be in Delhi.
Right, that'll be at Delhi. I believe it's at the sheriff's office, actually.
Can I make that motion?
I'll second.
Motion made second to send the guys up to grand jury training. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. That's it.
That's a
You're cut off.
three
No
for
more.
three.
Three for
All right,
three.
that's good. I'll take 3 for 3. All right, guys, thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
It's the training with the
Mr. Brown, Stellar Engineering. Oh, there you are. I was looking for you on the sideline.
That's a direct line of the,
Chamber?
yeah. It's in the back row. Just a couple kind of updates. We had a few different applications that have gone in this summer. One was at the wastewater plant, I&I, to do a study there to try to get a better handle on that. And then an application on the water system, bouncing around a little bit. Both of those, hopefully we find out good news in December. At the wastewater plant, there's a flow meter and some piping that we're getting pricing to make some repairs on. So we should have information next month for the board to consider. Shepherd Street, the big parts, so to speak, the guide rail and soil nails, were completed. We can submit a drawdown to DASNY to get reimbursed for those costs. The storm drainage, that'll be kind of the next phase going forward, that we do need an easement for, and it was good we got the survey because we're going to be on the other property than we thought we were going to be on. So we will need to process the easement and then ultimately get a permit from DEC to be working down over the bank. So we'll work through those. Catskill Watershed Corporation, there's a couple of different projects that the village is working through there. One is the Third Brook Bridge. So we have an application prepared to look at doing design to replace the Third Brook Bridge with funding coming from CWC to do that.
Is Third Brook the Craft Bridge?
Yes.
Yeah.
That's something that has been on the docket for a long time. It's in a number of studies and reports that it should be replaced from a hydraulic standpoint. Unfortunately, it is a DOT structure. It meets it's actually a culvert in their world.
Yes.
And it checks the boxes for what a culvert needs to be.
Yes.
But it doesn't check the boxes for what we as Walton need that structure to do. So DOT's not on the hook to pay for the replacement, so that's why CWC is going to be applied to. So we're actually working with another firm that does more DOT work, that specializes in DOT work, to prepare that application to submit to CWC, again, just to do design initially, and then that would be used as a basis to ask for funding to replace the structure. So it's a long-term project and would be pretty involved with it being the DOT streets and craft and TAs and everything going on in that
Rerouting
corner.
traffic while it's being done. It's just gonna be a-
Temporary,
gonna be a
all that stuff,
project.
so has to get work done, so.
What happens to the immediate real estate parcels around there?
That's what we have to figure out as part of design as well. If the stream and structure are going to change, what has to change to accommodate it. But also water, sewer, gas, storm drain, utilities in there.
Everything.
It's busy. So, like I said, that's why we reached out to another firm that the county's worked with, that we've worked with, that does a lot more DOT work. They kind of have their own language for a lot of their stuff. So, looking to ultimately submit that to CWC. And then the last item is the flood proofing studies, which I know have been out for a while. We will get those finalized this month and get that process back to get them kind of to the next stage in their lives. That's
Because that was part of that letter that we
Yeah,
just got.
we got-
Everybody got a copy of that letter tonight.
So will the studies fall in time for the requested funds that we asked for? Will they accept the studies?
Yeah. Yeah, we'll go, whatever processing CWC has, we'll process, work through it. It's really getting them done so they can proceed to the next step, which is a design for whatever the improvement is. We're looking at flood proofing, things, so putting up flood barriers, putting in flood vents, doing, raising, stuff like that, different options for different facilities. So CWC pays for an initial study. Is it feasible? Can it be done? Is the
Right.
building,
But
suitable enough to
no one
accommodate
really
it?
kicks in too much for the owner of the place when it's time for them to do.
Right, that's kind of the gap at the end of this. There's a bunch of studies and planning that happens on the forefront, which CWC pays for, which is good. The back end of it is the time to go build whatever the fix is. CWC can pay for 75% of construction costs, but that leaves a 25% local match for a business owner or whoever it may be, a property owner, which can be, substantial. And then it's also the construction cost, but also if you're having to do a major upgrade on your facility, you may be down for a couple of weeks or a couple of months. So that's, lost revenue if you're a store or a restaurant or something like that. So that's kind of got to be built in, and that's part of the, the challenge that'll, be in place, for any of these to go forward. So.
First item you brought up with the sewer plant, you said we might expect good news in December?
We applied in July for funds to conduct an I&I study in flow. So where we have water leaking into the sewer plant or into the sewer mains
Right.
that shouldn't be leaking in. We applied for funding to go find that. And then if we find it, we would apply for funding to fix it so that it doesn't go to the plant, so the village isn't paying money to treat water that you shouldn't be treating.
Exactly.
So the good news is we get money.
If we have a good December.
Yeah, and a little more on that. So that's awarded on a point basis, right? Or
Yes, there's a few different characteristics for that. We probably won't have the highest score because we're not under a mandate from DEC to do the study right now.
Right.
If you are over 95% of your allotment, the plant has a permit. It can treat 1.55 million gallons per day is what it's permitted for. So how much flow comes in every day is monitored on an annual basis. If you're over 95%, you have to do a flow management plan and do other things. I think this past year we were 94%, 93. We're right at that threshold. So we don't have the mandate from the state currently, but we're close to it. So we're trying to be a little proactive in getting that.
is there anything from our representatives that can help push us past the?
It's worth asking. Those decisions haven't been made yet. And it's, it's worth asking for, support from our elected officials at the state level, because that's, ultimately, it's a state decision, and generally they come from the governor's office and whatnot, so.
So can we agree to get a letter together to send to a representative, Jen Metzger? Is that something that we could?
Didn't you already send us that?
We did one for the water project, actually. I don't know that we did one for the I&I project, so maybe.
I don't know if we did do one for the I&I. I think it was the water
The
project.
water, yeah,
So maybe we should do that for the, like you said, for the I&I project. Get one set up and we can send it into her office.
I'd make the motion that we construct a letter.
Second that.
Motion made second to send the letter to Senator Metzger's office on the I&I situation. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried.
Yeah, good. We'll get something drafted up this week.
Sounds good.
I know we met earlier this year on the highway garage. We got some plans put together for that, but that's kind of the next
Yep.
thing to touch base again with our elected officials on, and trying to, when we went last time, the funding that we were pursuing hadn't been allotted yet.
Yep.
It has been allotted now,
Now
so
we gotta see if we can get a slice of the pie.
get a piece of it.
Well, thanks, Bill.
Yep.
So,
They've said we're at the top of the list, but it hasn't come through yet.
Anything else for Bill? Thank you, Bill.
Thank you.
All right, trustees report. Stephen, yeah?
I have nothing to report. Everything is in fine order.
Mr. Billy?
Nothing this time.
Eric? Mr. Hall?
No, Butch got it covered there.
Okay.
Chasing a couple of pet projects at the park, a couple of things I'd like to put in. Still have to find some grant money to do them. And the theater is still ongoing with the project up in the balcony. They're still working on the plans for that.
Okay.
We have a Christmas show coming up in December. That's back this year, so that's nice.
Okay.
And that's about what's going on with the parks and the theater.
All right. Thank you. I have nothing. All right, we're down to some parades. The school wants to do their Halloween parade on October 31st, weather permitting.
What a day to do it.
Yeah, exactly. They got the route and stuff here. It's the usual route. What do we have to do on top of that? You gotta
Just give me permission to,
do the permit?
yep.
Okay. Entertain somebody to make a motion.
I move that we give the school the permit to have the parade on October 31st.
Second.
Motion made second to do the parade for the school on the 31st. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried.
What time is that, Steve?
It says promptly at 1:30 PM on Thursday.
Thank you.
All right, the next parade is
Veterans Day.
Veterans Day. We didn't get any information on that from them, did we?
No.
They haven't submitted their
They haven't
walking
submitted their
around.
paper. So we're gonna have to get them to
So we have
Which one?
Veterans Day
Veterans Day parade.
and the Christmas parade, both. We gotta get their
The
information.
Veterans Day, they haven't really decided. They may not even have it.
Okay, well,
How far ahead of time do we need to know that to get them the permit?
They, the state likes 30 days.
So should we make the motion to pull the permit anyway?
The Veterans, they gave you their insurance, right, Jody?
They, the Lions Club brought in their, certificate of insurance.
We could authorize the parade and then find out what they're gonna do beforehand. The biggest thing is
Well,
coverage for the streets.
before I
right?
can send the application in, I need to know the route.
Yeah.
okay, so let's approve it and then we'll get the route from them and we'll go from there.
Okay, I make the motion that we apply for the permit for the Veterans Day parade.
Second.
Motion made second to apply for the Veterans Day Parade once we find out the route. All in favor?
Find the route.
Yeah. All in favor?
They find out.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Carried.
Can I just say, I know we're just talking about the Christmas parade, that date is Friday this year, supposedly to be slated Friday,
Okay.
as opposed to the traditional Saturday, so the 29th instead of the 3rd day, Saturday.
The Christmas one will be the 29th of
Yeah, so
November.
the chamber's working with the Lions Club and the theater, i.e. then the village and et cetera. So-
Do you have a
Time?
time and a route or
That I
anything?
don't know, that was the Lions Club's.
All right,
So,
we'll have to
but I
see if
just-
we can get
it's
stuff
kind of
to,
a
get stuff
big-
to us before
Yeah.
November
I'll talk to
meeting.
them, I'm not, but I know it's kind of a big change to change the day of the week, so.
Okay.
just-
All right, just have them get stuff
Yeah.
together and we can get the permit stuff ready for them.
So were you gonna do a motion for that as well?
No, that's the end of November, so if we get
It's the
everything by then,
29th, so
if we get everything for November
should have
meeting, we
time.
should be
We
fine.
have time?
just barely.
Burley.
Okay.
All right, the other is the Walton Central School field hockey signs. They want to place them along Main Street like they did the football signs and then take them down after the season. Give them permission to do that.
I think that's great, and I would definitely move to give them permission to do that.
Second.
Motion made second to put up the field hockey signs, and they will put them up and take them down. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Steve, did you mean on Delaware Street?
Yes.
Unit like you said?
All right. That is it, folks. We're like to entertain a motion to go into executive session to discuss contract.
I will make the motion.
Can I do one more
Oh.
public input? 'Cause I didn't
Uh,
realize.
You should have done it to begin with.
That's okay.
All right. Motion made and seconded to go into executive session. All in favor?
I didn't hear a second.
Did
Did
you,
somebody second? He made a motion.
did you second?
I'll second.
All right. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Thank you, folks.